Good afternoon and a warm welcome to our LiveCast event, How Digital is Needed. My name is Eva Fiorenzoni. I'm the Managing Director of the Swedish Swiss Chamber of Commerce. I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this event. This event is brought to you in collaboration with our patron member and long-standing partner and member Nexel. And we have been working on this event for quite a long time, but due to COVID we had to postpone it a couple of times. But now finally we are live and we are here for you to bring this event. We are very happy also because we have more than 100 delegates registered for the event. So first of all, thank you very much for logging in and attending. Digitalization, how much digital is needed? As you all know, digitalization is nothing new. It has been going on for decades. But with the pandemic, everything accelerated immensely. Some companies, of course, were prepared for this. They had everything put in place, somewhat prepared. But many companies were not, and they had to look at what strategy are we going to implement, what needs to be done, and how are we going to do this, where are we going to start, or maybe this is just going to go over and we can go back to normal and we don't need to be digitalized. With Nexel and the Swiss Chamber of Commerce, we have put together a panel of speakers who will take you through this and talk about their journey to digitalization. Now, I'm very happy to hand over the word to John Sass, founder and managing partner at Nexel, who will also be the moderator at our event tonight. So please, over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Eva. Welcome everybody to our Nexel offices here in Brook today. As Eva said, it's taken a while for us to finally be able to put this event together with our guest speakers. Our topic, I think, will be absolutely very interesting this evening, how much digital is needed. A personal note, when we arrived to the office this morning, we had no internet. And of course, internet for this event is a little bit crucial. So yeah, I think the topic of digitalization, all of these buzzwords that we hear is key to all of us in all different sectors. And I would like to maybe change the title of the event. Instead of just saying how much digitalization or how much digital is needed, we should also talk about how much digital is really needed to make a difference. We have also a non-profit organization that we're working with, and these are all important topics. I want to discuss really needed. Is it really needed? Is it overkill? Are we having digital overload with all the digital technologies that we're using, that we're faced with every day? So I think the perspective we're going to have today, from one side, from a nonprofit organization, very well known, I'll introduce them in a second, in the Zurich area, versus an industrial manufacturer that is also big and has been around 125 years. They just celebrated their anniversary a few weeks ago. And of course, we also have with us, as usual, Salesforce.com, who is of course driving a lot of this digital technology and which we are using every day in all different areas. Maybe first a little bit of a housekeeping. All your microphones are muted, so you cannot contribute to the discussion. But the chat is interactive, so we want to interact with you. We would like you very much to be able to log in. You're logged into your YouTube as you're viewing this. Please post your questions. We're going to spend about an hour or so until about 6 o'clock to discuss with our panelists the different topics. But then we will come to the Q&A and make sure that we address all the questions. We've sent you with the event invitation and the confirmation today a list of topics maybe that you can start thinking about as you formulate your questions. How could we help make you make a difference? How can we help you make a difference? How are you currently managing your relationships at your organizations, and how could possibly we help with that? What tools are you using? What are the challenges that you're facing? And the changes you are facing, how are you facing them, and how are you going to address them? I read an interesting article about a week ago in one of the Swiss trade magazines. 71% of Swiss companies know they have to modernize. They have to go through this digitalization process, but they don't know how, they don't have the resources, and they don't know how to really start the discussion. So that's why we're here today, to help with our panelists, to make sure that we try to give some insights on the experiences that they have gone through in the last years. And I think we just get going. One of the important factors that we do, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with our Nexel Angels program, where we are actively supporting nonprofit organizations around the country, also internationally in some cases, small to the very large ones. You have an URL on your screen, and you have received a URL in the invitation and in the event confirmation to be able to donate. One of our speakers today is from the Unispital Zurich, the University Hospital of Zurich Foundation, and we'll talk a lot more about what they are doing. We are supporting them with a fundraising campaign, and one of the main campaigns that they are leading is for corona research, which we are all finally welcoming and benefiting from. So, without further ado, what I would like to do is introduce our panelists. First of all, we have Marissa Schurenberger from University Spital Foundation in Zurich. Welcome, Marissa. I think the challenges you are facing in your situation is quite different from other organizations. But please tell us first about yourself, about your organization, what you do.
Love that. Thank you very much, John. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure. Yes, I'm working for the USZ Foundation. My name is Marissa Schnurrenberger, and we are the foundation for the University Hospital in Zurich. We are basically the University Hospital is doing a lot of research. Of course, it's one of the biggest hospitals in Switzerland. So we have research 1,000 projects running, and not all of those projects are financed, give any economic benefit, so they're not financed by the industry, so they need philanthropic financing. That's where we come into the game. So we are matching donors, philanthropists, foundations, or private donors with the projects at the hospital. And what we I'm a bit nervous now, so.
Okay. No problem, we're all nervous. Yeah. But just to reconfirm, we all have water in our cups today. But we will come back to the various projects that you're working with, and we'll definitely discuss that a little bit more. I'd like to introduce our next panelist. Sorry, ladies first, Bhavesh.
No problem.
Vanessa Gentile from Salesforce. Now, Vanessa is the Alliances Director at Salesforce, and is our primary connection to the Salesforce world. So Nexel's connection as a certified partner to Salesforce. Welcome, Vanessa. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you. Please tell us a few words about yourself.
Thank you for having me as well. My pleasure to be again with people around me after so long time. So it's really exciting to be here. So my name is Vanessa, and I am the Alliance and Channel Lead at Salesforce. My responsibility is to increase the partner ecosystem in Switzerland. That means I'm responsible that we have enough capacity and capability of people out there that are supporting us in our growth, our community, our customers, and creating innovation and putting innovation into life. So this is what my main responsibility is.
That's right, and we've been working together for a number of years already. Nexel being one of probably the oldest partner in Europe since 2002. We've been working with Salesforce, so it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for your support today. Last but not least, Bhavesh Mistry from Brook Lifting. Bhavesh is the head of global sales and marketing at Brook. a complete different perspective on life from Salesforce. You are, of course, a Salesforce customer,
Yep.
As we all are, and of course from Marissa's world. Please say a few words about yourself, Bhavesh.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm Bhavesh Mistry. As John said, I work for Brook. Brook is a large group of many small companies. We have 4 divisions, but we are pioneers in infrastructure. So, you know, the marketing guys, well done. I've placed it there for you.
You guys have great marketing. I saw your 125-year anniversary video. It was fantastic. It was really.
Yeah, so as John says, the company's been around 125 years. We had a digital event where we actually sort of introduced our story and all the products, and not just the products, but the problems that we solve around the world. So we are involved in infrastructure, coming from heating systems to generating electricity and having the control systems at hydro plants. That's a big thing that we do at our company, Rittmeyer. Cable cars, if you've ever taken a cable car, you've probably been on a Brook rope. And also transport ways, conveyor belts that move mining equipment around, and elevators. And my business is working in the elevator branch. And if you've ever been in an elevator, chances are you've been pulled up by a Brook rope, and that's kind of our business. Can be boring, but lifting doesn't have to be boring, and that's why I'm here today.
And one of the anecdotes we have to talk about is that your ropes are lifting all the lifts, all the elevators at Salesforce Towers.
Exactly, right? It's a really nice connection. The Salesforce Tower in San Francisco is this beautiful building. That overlooks the Golden Gate Bridge, and all of the elevators in the Salesforce Tower have Brook ropes, which. So.
And you also have your manufacturing in Switzerland partly, and that has its own challenges, but we'll come back to that, right?
Yeah, and plants in the US and China, so it's it's a small team, but a very global team as well.
Exactly. And then on my side, as you already heard from Eva, I'm Nexcel's managing partner, John Sass. I'll be your host today. Happy to be here and finally to be able to have this event. And of course, I'll be saying a few words about our experiences in the situation with Corona, with everything else that we've been going through over the last years and so on, the challenges we face from our perspective internally with our relationship with Salesforce, but also then, of course, how our customers are feeling it and how we try to help their situations. So maybe, Bhavesh, we start with you. You told me, I have a couple of samples here of your ropes. Maybe hard to see on the camera, but these are actually elevator ropes or coated ropes that every elevator needs, obviously, right?
Right, that's correct.
We tend to underestimate or don't even think about how elevators are working, but they're absolutely complex machinery.
Yep.
You told me once, though, that you probably have the most unsexiest and the most boring products in the world to sell, right? Yep. I don't necessarily agree. My background is also from an industrial background. But these challenges, you are of course not the only suppliers in the world making these types of cables.
Yep.
It's almost a commodity, maybe not. You have to distinguish yourselves on the market.
Right.
You have of course manufacturing in Switzerland, but not only. You have competitors also abroad, probably cheaper than Brook, but there's a question of quality as well.
Yep.
This whole, if we put Corona aside, the whole journey of digitalization at Brook Lifting started, of course, way before Corona. We have been working together since 2017. I've looked in our Salesforce to actually check.
Nice.
A lot of different projects going on, new projects coming, including things like IoT and so on.
Yep.
Tell us how the Brook team, Brook Lifting, has been addressing this digital journey.
Well, with like anything, there's peaks and troughs, right? There's steps forwards, and it's messy, and it doesn't always work out the way you want. But the key point is, like you say, the products are boring, but it's the problems that you overcome, which is where the interest is. You know, it's working with the people, working with customers, understanding their problems, collecting information together, and being flexible and easy to move, and actually being ahead of the ball with most of our customers is what's important. And here the whole digital journey, or like how we've been attacking these challenges, is we produce in Switzerland, we produce also in China, but we're not the cheapest, and we'll never be the cheapest. And there's companies that are huge out there that actually could sell a lot cheaper than us. So where's the value? And the value has always been that we're a small business, we're reactive, we see what their problems are, we actively get involved there. And we're a company of 120 people with Brugg Lifting by itself.
And it's also the value-added services. It's not only selling the cable, right?
It's not just selling the cable, it's service support. When an elevator goes down, you don't realize that when an elevator goes down, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
People can't get into the
and
building.
You don't want to be responsible for that problem.
Exactly. And it's like, so how quick can you respond? How can you get there? Can you diagnose the problem? Can you make it so that this problem doesn't come again? And that's where it's really been driving the digitalization, because we're small. And but small is good, small is flexible, small is innovative. So how do we leverage that and scale it in a way that allows us to deliver that value through us, through our partners, through our distributing chain, where we have people all around the world. But how do we do that in a way without losing the essence of who we are? And that's where the whole digitalization journey has been really important, and Salesforce has been amazing. So thank you for that. So, but yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Thanks to Vanessa. Yes.
Exactly. So that's kind of the context. But yeah, that's kind of what's driven us into this digitalization.
And this has been going on for a number of years. We've been working together also in the Salesforce space, in the web space, and there's a lot more to come. There's everything from tying in your partners and so on, and certifying your partners, and similar to the model that Salesforce has with the certification of their partners. It's a similar type of approach.
I think what's really interesting is like with all this digitalization, you know, is everybody uses these buzzwords and gets it around, but how do you get your head around what do you want to do? I mean, we have our IT department that works in for our group. That's where all good ideas go to die, because they become these huge projects that then just don't really come down to something. And what's been great is that Salesforce for me, and what brought me to the point of like using Salesforce as an was an ecosystem. There's points that you can take and you can start and you can fix a specific problem. And as you fix that specific problem, people who use the system then see the benefit for themselves. And it's a slow burn. It's step by step, and you know, we've failed along the way. I mean, we tried to create a website on the cheap, and it's okay, but it's not what we want. But you know, we build up on that. But then you start seeing, okay, this problem links to this problem. And the great thing about like these small digitalization projects is if you start small, you can build up enthusiasm, and then you can start linking stuff together. That's been, I would say, probably the greatest learning that we've had.
And of course, the journey has its challenges, and we will come back to that and cover it as well.
Exactly.
Marissa, I'd like to very much discuss with you USZ Foundation, and I was amazed. I must say, I received a couple of weeks ago your Jahresbericht, your annual report, and opening it up, I noticed that, for example, you have 61 actual projects that you're raising funds for and financing and developing with University of Zurich Hospital and so on and so forth in all kinds of different areas.
Absolutely.
From neurology, dermatology, oncology, and of course Corona, right?
Yes.
I was very happy to see as well Nexel being mentioned as one of the supporters and sponsors and so on. So very happy to see that. We're happy to support you also with this fundraising effort that we're having together tonight. But please tell us, your journey, of course, is completely different. You're a complete different situation than what Bhavesh and Brugg Lifting has been facing, right? Tell us a little bit about where you've come from and the challenges you faced.
Okay, we, as a foundation, we are not 125 years. No. The hospital almost is, but not the foundation. The foundation is young, it's about 3 years. So we had to develop to see where we go also with the digitalization. And our main subject is really relationship. With fundraising, you have relationship with donors, you have to be close with them. So you're not really digital, you're personal actually. The most digital you are is emails and telephones. And so we meet up with the philanthropics, with the foundation people. But with Corona then, of course, we were all set back in the offices at our own desk, and we had to, okay, how is this going to work? This is a total new situation. We're far away from the hospital now because we had to be really close also with the researcher to find out what they need for. So you see, we have so many projects. We have to go and find the projects at the hospital. It actually shows the diversity of the research that's done at the hospital.
It's really incredible. And you told us before we started today that Zurich Hospital, the research is probably the biggest, if not one of the biggest in Switzerland. Right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
amazing.
Yeah. So we actually sat back and then we had to see how we communicate also. And definitely Salesforce is a good tool for us. We need that, and we immediately implemented. We had to, of course we went back like everyone else at Zoom and met each other on our teams to discuss how we're going to proceed now. And we also received a lot of people calling us, wanted to donate, wanted to help, to support the hospital now during this crisis.
And you had to give them somehow the means to be able to support you and
Exactly.
have these discussions.
So that had to be really fast, because we didn't know what the hospital really needs at that point. We had to really react very fast. So we set up this Corona Solidarity Fund. Immediately we had people calling. They wanted to donate oxygen bottles. They wanted to bring cake, chocolate, big companies.
To the frontline workers, everybody in the hospitals.
So we had to manage that. Of course, it's not always helpful.
And
because
was that where Salesforce was useful in terms of managing that situation, or?
No, it was just a situation, but
Okay.
Salesforce, was
that's
needed.
the next project phase.
Yeah,
That's the next project.
No, that actually, it was good we had Salesforce already,
Right.
because then it started. What we didn't do before was public fundraising.
Okay.
So we were really mainly focused on fundraising with foundations and with private donors,
That's right.
philanthropists.
That's how we started working together, because you had
Absolutely,
Salesforce in place, not because of Corona or the crisis. You had Salesforce in place before
Before
for
that,
institutional
of course,
fundraising
of
and
course,
so on.
yeah.
But now there was this trigger, this situation
Absolutely.
that we were living with, and it's helped you.
It helped us a lot, because we were not really prepared for that. Suddenly we had these flyers, we had all the people who wanted to donate, and we were not ready for public fundraising basically. But Salesforce helped us then to provide this opportunity, and we could manage everything well. And I have to say I have like 15 years experience in fundraising, in philanthropy, and I worked with several big organizations and with other databases, and with Salesforce for me is the easiest and the best tool, because what's really important is also that you follow the donor journey, and it's a fantastic tool with Salesforce that helps.
Absolutely.
You sell anything today?
Yeah, I mean,
No.
And the
actually,
comments were
I'm
not-
actually, you don't pay me for this. I said that when I first joined the organization, I said, oh my God, this database is so easy to handle.
Right.
It's so well done, and so actually exactly for our profession.
And these comments were not
Yeah.
planted as
No,
well, just to be
it's really,
clear. It's really very nice to hear.
It's absolutely.
And I'd like to ask then Vanessa for her input on this. Vanessa, of course, Salesforce. I mean, we Nexel have been living this Salesforce journey now for almost 20 years with our team here in Switzerland. It's been an incredible journey, lots of ups and downs. Some incredible things happening with Salesforce, the products, the add of new products, the new companies coming on board, great customers that we have to work with. In this situation, when you have a crisis and like a Corona, and how do you see the contribution of a Salesforce to this situation? How has Salesforce faced the Corona situation that we have today?
So I have to say that Salesforce, and thank you for your pitch. Actually, your elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch.
The
That's
elevator
perfect.
pitch is perfect. I mean, I
Excellent.
know now why you can do this elevator pitch.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So thank you for that. It's really very nice to have two beautiful customers here. We should do more with them in terms of reference.
Okay.
So the value of Salesforce is trust, innovation, equality, and all this customer success. And I think this is the foundation of such a company, right? And independent of crisis or not, Salesforce is here, and their philosophy is to help customers and to make the world a better place. And I think this is in a crisis like we went through, is perfect to see how Salesforce support our customers, our community, our partners, in doing and in building new technology, in building new tools. like work.com or the vaccine cloud.
Yeah.
These are all simple and small examples, but with a huge impact.
Yeah, I think in many ways, Salesforce didn't really have to do anything when Corona hit. Everybody is working remotely, everybody is mobile, same with us. We just kept on working, home office, office, at clients, doesn't really matter. We had all the tools necessary. But isn't there sometimes the feeling that there's too many of these tools, there's too much digital, there's too many options out there? I mean, of course, Salesforce is a designer, is a builder of all these tools, and the tools, I think we all agree, are fantastic. But Bhavesh, when you're introducing a digital journey like this in your team, how did you face the aspect of the acceptance of all these new technologies? There's such a choice of technologies. Was there not the feeling of, in the onboarding of the people, of the team, the buy-in to these new technologies? Wasn't there the feeling, why do we need to change? We're overloaded with so many different solutions for chat, for this, social media. How did your team address that?
So yeah, I mean, I think there's always a feeling of people used to doing things in a certain way, and therefore change is always difficult. And it doesn't matter if it's digital or if somebody's used to filling out a form in a certain way. When you try to take it away after 20 years, they get a little bit upset. And I think the main point here was with the team, there was always too much to do. And if you could demonstrate that with a new technology or something new that you bring in, there's an immediate effect. And not just Salesforce. I mean, we had this touchscreen system that we threw together with my IT department. They're not that bad, actually. They really do help out at times. But we threw something together which was for the blue-collar operators who were working on the shop floor. Suddenly, it was easy for them to follow orders. I mean, before I had a box that I had to look in to find paper which had orders in. And then we digitalized that with a very simple system. And suddenly it was like, oh, this saves me time.
Yeah.
It means I'm less stressed, and it's like, and that really sort of got the ball rolling. And I think that's how we've always tried to approach, bringing in new tools. Is like the first question is, which problem are we trying to solve? And on the flip side, I think you alluded to it a little bit earlier with the COVID thing. We were hit with two whammies last year. We had COVID, and then we were hit with a cyber attack that came in. Like cybercrime is a huge thing happening now.
Yes.
And that hit us within a month after the COVID thing. So we're just recovering, beginning to get our balance, and then we get hit with a cyber attack, and suddenly your email's not working and everything's shut down. And that was also a really great cultural experience for the company, because it was suddenly like there was no more command and control. It was like, we got to react, we got to move, we got to start communicating. And within a day, the teams all around the world, in all of the different companies, we found our way. And that was also a massive learning as well, that it doesn't need to be a big thing that's dropped from top down.
Yeah, and I think if I interpret what you're saying correctly, the people have to see and understand the value of the technology.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are so many solutions out there. There's always some resistance from the teams, from the users. Maybe there's different preferences on technologies. Of course, Salesforce is not always a preferred solution. We try to make it the preferred solution, of course. But I think it's important that on one side, internally, your users, your team accept the technology, but also that the technology works for you, for your customers, and your network around the world, right?
And I think it does start internally before it goes out externally. So, for example, if you've got somebody who's working on something and it's like you introduce a tool and their feeling is, oh, I'm going to be controlled, and now you're going to monitor me and turn me into a robot, right? Then there's going to be a huge amount of resistance. Yeah, I mean, I kind of come from the Star Trek world, and one thing that came from that was that Star Trek is technology keeping up with empathy. So when you have good technology, you use it to better the world. And if you start that journey inside and you say, okay, I'm not going to come here, Mr. Blue Collar Worker who's working on something, and I'm going to control you and make sure that every minute you're doing everything that you should be doing. There's companies out there that do that. They use technology to turn people into batteries. I think it's about going in the other direction, saying, how do I make you less stressed? How do I make you a happier person, that you're better with your job? And then that translates directly into a customer experience.
And to a satisfied customer.
Exactly.
And the users, the people should be happy and should feel that the technology benefits them.
Exactly.
Same with you, Marissa, I guess. On your side, we said earlier, Salesforce was already in place. We've been working together with the Unispital Foundation for a number of years already. Salesforce was already in place. But how do you see that these technologies has helped the journey for your teams? And
Yes.
eventually for your fundraisers,
Yeah,
for donors as well. Yeah.
I would say also, I mean, technology definitely helped. It didn't help us for fundraising, I have to say. Technology helps us to be focused on our fundraising, on our donors, and fulfilling the projects. At the end, you still have to keep on calling the people if you cannot meet them. You still have to interact. What really technology helped, I think, also with the Corona Solidarity Fund, the first thing we had to implement at the ICU, intensive care, that was the first thing they needed, was iPads. So technology again. You had this COVID crisis. So many people were in ICU, they couldn't get in contact with their loved ones. So that was the first thing that was needed, and therefore you need IT. I don't know how they did it many years ago, but it's very sad what happened there, but at least this gave them a possibility to interact with the loved ones.
For the patients. And
yes, absolutely. So I mean, at the hospital anyway, technology is a big issue. During this COVID also, you know, the hospital was closed, nobody was allowed to come in. Like you had your parents, I had donors, they called me, I wanted to know why they donated to the Corona Solidarity Fund. They said, okay, their parents were in our hospital, they were treated very well, so they want to give something back. And they had this connection with the doctor. So technology, there was the smartphone, was still happening during this crisis. So the doctor could call them frequently, inform them about their parents' health. This is more that technology that we forced or that we face now during this crisis. Of course, we always using Salesforce as being on our campaigns, like the project, we call them campaigns in the Salesforce, to keep focus, to manage them. Because there are so many, we have to know how many and how we fundraising for which.
I remember the days when we had our first discussions at Unispital with Corina and the team. It was early days also for the foundation, I think, right? It's quite young,
it's really young,
as you said. There were very few tools in place, right? There was Microsoft Office, of course, as everybody has, and lots of Excels and everything else, right?
That's it.
and now your light years difference in how the organization was working before, right?
And grown, of course,
and
more
growing
employees,
as well. Exactly. Has there been resistance to the technology? Has there been? I can't imagine that it's all wonderful and we love everything. And there's always some hesitation, the onboarding of technologies, of the people, the acceptance, and so on. How has your team faced that?
No, I wouldn't say resistance. It's more like, wow, okay, you have to learn. You have to learn the system. You have to learn how to use it best possible. Of course, I think we don't use it at this point how we could use it. We're still learning, and we get great support, and because we are developing slowly but surely, and we have grown now, I mean, quite intense, from 1 person to 8 person now in 3 years, and we keep on growing, I guess. We are like a learning organization, and we learn with Salesforce, and we suddenly think, oh, this could be easier if we have this and tool, and then we call you and we get supply and we get support to this. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I think it's also, when I used to work for a very large organization, non-profit organization, where everything was in place already. And you could see, because it wasn't growing slowly but surely, it was messed up.
Right.
So I think that the most important thing is really from the beginning to be really picky on what you need, what your donors need, what your project leader needs, what your relationship manager needs. And to adjust it.
Perfect, thank you. Vanessa, from your perspective in the Salesforce world, right? Salesforce, of course, I mean, obviously it's a technology company, we know that. Well, probably one of the largest in the world. People don't necessarily know that. It's the products are really fantastic, and I think if anybody is averse to technology, you shouldn't bother applying for a job at Salesforce, right? It's the wrong place to work, right?
Yeah.
But there must be. But how is this constant shift in technology and so on? It also must impact the Salesforce teams as well, because there's all the strategy around that. How do you see that dynamic?
Well, first of all, I think that the greatest platform for change is people, right? So technology is useless if you don't have the right people using it.
That's true.
Right? So this is first. So, and I think that this is a very important to understand, that you have to have the right people at the right side of the corner to deal with technology and the rest of the things that you are managing. And I see that we have see that also for us. I mean, we were coming in and out in the office. It was usual to decide by yourself when to go in and out. And today, nobody is working anymore there.
Yeah.
So
When was the last time you were in the Salesforce office in Zurich?
March last year.
Incredible.
So that's why I'm saying, so it hurt us as well, because we are human beings and because we need this interaction with the people as well.
Yeah.
And we all also had to learn the fact that it's not possible anymore. So it was a challenge in terms of the technology was there. Everybody were confident about the technology, how to use it, but the human perspective was not here anymore. And the challenges at home and dealing with fear. I mean, this is all component that comes additionally, right? And
especially if you're working at home alone, if you have no family, or you're still
maybe.
young, maybe no family yet. And
or even
this
with
isolation is, of course.
and you have the dog, you have the kids, you have the husband, everything there, everything in the same room. That's I think that's something that also belongs to everybody that goes through this crisis. And what I learned is obviously that how to engage with people, how to feel that people are still there. Even you have the technology, is to build trust, right? Trust has another meaning to me since COVID, because how do you build trust? Before it was trust. You build trust when you see each other in the corridor, in the coffee machine. Oh, can I
go
have
out
you
for a drink after work?
After work, and let's go for lunch or something. And this does not happen anymore. So you have to, in a way, use technology for this purpose as well. So how you do that? So okay, you make appointments to lunch, to have breakfast, or it sounds extremely weird, but it was the only way to engage with people and engage with people outside the meetings. It's where everything happens, is where you grow the trust between the people. Right?
I can't agree more. We've had the same situation at Nexel. Our team, of course, is spread around the country. Everybody's in home office. Some are living alone, have no families. And somehow we can say that technology, all these tools, and it's somehow a necessary evil, because in fact, on one side, sometimes you have technology overload, but on the other side, it has facilitated maintaining these relationships. Tools like Google Meet and all of these other tools. It's also allowed our team to, we have our daily coffee breaks as well, that's planned. Sometimes people join, sometimes they can't, whatever. And we try to do all kinds of, we had a wine tasting event one evening online, and we had a survey, a quiz thing happening with an online quiz tool. Why not? You try to come up with new ideas, right?
I find these collaboration tools really interesting and how they get used as well. And it's like, I wonder how much experimentation plays a part as well in sort of within Salesforce or your organizations. So, for example, like you say, daily meetings or whatever, we had that, but then we have whiteboards. And people just start drawing and painting, and but there's a connection that's happening over the tools. And you look at these these boards that you get, these tools online where you can collaborate together with customers and so on.
Right.
And again, but there's a connection there. There's something human behind it. It's not just
that's
technology.
what I'm saying. That it's people that counts, right? It's people behind the technology. And always when you have the great people, you have great. You can use innovation on our technology for a great innovation at the end, right? And well, I have also experienced that you have to do it now, this kind of meetings to see each other. On the other side, I will also say, so how much digital can we manage at the end? Because it's then on the other corner of, it's obviously, you are always on when you decide to shut down, when you decide to recover, when you decide, to have a break, because you tend to not have breaks during the cold. I mean, for 1 year and a half ago, right? So when I went to meetings, I take my car, I went from A to B, and I have some kind of breaks in between. So this is over again, right?
It's one after the other.
It's one after the other. So what are you doing now? So I learned, that I have to block sometimes in between to just, even to just do a recap of the one, or looking after the kids crying in the background or something like this.
But they're also busy with their technologies. Every parent complains that their kids are always connected with their tablets and everything else, right? And that may be good, maybe bad, but we're sort of...
Doesn't that come into the question of, for what? What do you need that digital tool or digitalization? Why do you need it? It comes to the problem, maybe.
No, but I think it still made our life easier, because considering we wouldn't have all these tools, then everyone would really be shut up. We would really be lonely. Everyone would have been in his apartment.
And looking at that's the point I'm trying to make.
I'm glad we have it.
I think that's kind of the question. It's like, if it makes your life better, why not? But if it's detrimental, then it's obviously something that needs to be controlled or shut off.
Good balance. It's a good balance.
Yeah, this is as everything in life. So you have to balance it, as you say. So everything you consume too much is too much. And also technology. So if I said before, you have to learn to put your meetings in your calendar, but also put your breaks in your calendar, because it's your breaks that save or give you the energy back to do a great job. So it belongs at the end to the result of your job. And I mean, these are all new findings, a new way of work. And I recently saw a statistic from IDC that says that 38% of the people were able to work from home before COVID, and now we are at 89%.
Many companies were not prepared at all.
And this is from one day to another. So who is helping them dealing with technology? Who is helping them in saying, okay, this is the way you should do, this is the way that you can manage it, this is what you... Who is doing this? So this is something that I have that I hear a lot from our customers as well, or even my community. Right, they are struggling to deal with that because they were never used to do that.
Is this why there's such a boom in UX? I mean, for both of you guys who work in the software space, where like user experience becomes more and more prevalent, or I've certainly noticed it seems to be quite a big thing. I mean, in our factory, we've got a touch screen where the operators can work, but for every operation they have to do, they have to go through 3 screens. And it's like, so we've digitized, but it's mental because the guys are like, every 5 minutes I have to go through 3 screens, and it suddenly comes into this whole idea of UX. I don't know if that's something.
This is exactly the topics we need to keep an eye on, Bhavesh, when we start extending your My Trailhead, your communities for your partners. You have to make sure your clients, your partners' experiences are perfect. And I think what you said a minute ago, Bhavesh, answers my question earlier, how much digital is really needed to make a difference. I think the answer we come out with today is that it should make your life better. Right? The digital is valuable when it makes your life better, makes your employees' lives easier, and makes your customers, of course, happy and opens all the channels to them as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things is just like a question that kind of runs around, and probably all have it, but it's like, when do you have your best ideas? Do you have it when you're working?
Oh, of course not. When
in the
you're
shower,
out
while you're sleeping.
Out walking in the forest, absolutely, or sweeping the garden, something. Then, suddenly,
So should a KPI be a certain amount of free time?
Yeah.
Maybe that's coming.
I think so.
Yes.
But also we're saying also that changing rooms helps also to create new ideas.
Changing groups?
Changing rooms.
Changing
just
rooms.
working rooms.
Okay.
So, and now with these times, I went also often for a walk.
Right.
And we say, okay, let's go for a TED walk. right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
you are calling people and go around, even if it's around your house, just to go on fresh air and so forth. Or even when you say, okay, now I have 10 minutes, what should I do now? So go and work somewhere else. Somewhere else.
Just get some
go
fresh
and,
air outside.
Yeah, and work.
I do that as well.
Exactly.
Lunchtime,
So
I took 2 meetings on my bike last week.
I have people who went in the mountain
Yes,
and worked from the
absolutely.
mountains.
Really? That'd
I
be
mean, why
awesome.
not?
not?
It doesn't
Why
matter
not?
where you are working those
Because many
days.
of our customers are sitting in their chalets, in their
Yeah.
apartments up
Right.
in Arosa and wherever else. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That technology is great.
I change rooms between my apartment.
Same. I did the same. And every time I moved rooms, I had new inspiration. I get new power. Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
you find that with the donuts as well? I mean, I guess you're talking with a lot of
Yeah.
different people. Do you find also with this wide cross section of people that you see that they are also, their environments are changing? And
No, actually, they also. I mean, the same. They have the
Right.
same. It was what was always easy now. I would say is because we couldn't meet them, we called, and everyone was around.
Right.
That was really something. Everyone was around. You called them, they picked the phone. That wasn't usual before that. And we all talked about the same thing
Right.
all the time. That was always one topic. Everyone was telling his own story, how he manages, how he's doing. He's probably complaining, or he say, "Oh, it's fine. I like it. I'm up there. I'm in whatever in my chalet."
Yep.
Yeah. So they experienced the same like we did. Yeah. I think it's everyone in the whole world now who
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
changed
you can
their-
combine your
Yeah.
work with your private affairs. Like, okay, I will go to Spain for a weekend, visiting, I don't know, my mom, and then I stay there for a week and I work from
Absolutely.
there. Why not?
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean,
We've done
that's
that as well.
absolutely
And
fine.
still, I think we need to go back. We need to go back to what we had before. It's a mixture.
But I don't think it'll go
mixture,
back to the
because-
normal
No,
that we knew
probably
before.
not.
It'll be a
But
different normal.
As you were saying, wow, that's the biggest crowd of people I've been together with since a year.
Yeah.
And isn't it it's about relationship? Salesforce is about relationship. Our jobs are relationship people. We are human beings. We need relationships. We need
Absolutely,
to see
absolutely.
each other, and it's not enough on a screen.
It's interesting because for us, we're an industrial company, right? So there's certain jobs that you can do from home. But the guy who's by the machine,
Yeah, of course.
he doesn't have that choice, right?
Neither
So
at
that-
the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like
Exactly.
you've got people out doing home office, right? And then you've got the guys who are working, or the guys and ladies working on the machines and so on. So then how do you balance that? Because there's an unfairness, and we're kind of talking about like how do we go forward with that now? But then there's a social commitment as well, because you know, as a manager in this company, if I'm not there, the operators, they very clearly tell me, I say, well, you were at home just having coffee and
Yeah,
farting
of
around,
course, yeah, yeah.
and I'm here working. And it's like you need to balance
But now
that.
there's no excuse anymore. You can work from everywhere, from on your bicycle, as you just told
Exactly.
us, and even if you're on holiday somewhere in Spain.
But that presence, that
But that's also a
relationship-
problem. That's sometimes a problem
That
because
is
you
a
can never
problem.
really disconnect, and you're always online. And I have that issue as well. I go on holidays, love my holidays. Everybody knows that, but
Yep.
I'm always connected. And if there's ever a problem, people know they can reach me. Yeah.
But it's that connection. I think there's that social connection. You know, what is a company? A company is a group of people. So what holds those people together? And I think you alluded to it as well. It's like when you're always away, there's no connectivity, and that connectivity is important.
Absolutely.
And I think that comes to your point about like it needs to be a mix.
Yeah.
With-
Yeah, so in Salesforce we did recently a study to see how people feel to come back, right? This were very interesting because we have now experience, and we will do 3 type of let's say working environment for our employees. So first, you can choose to be 1 to 3 days at home, at work. Sorry. The second option where I will be mainly at home, and the third option where I will be mainly at the office.
Okay.
And rather 50% of our employees said that they will come between 1 and 3 times in the office and not more. But on the other hand, 80% said we need and we want and we are keen and looking forward to have the connection, the human connection.
Yeah.
Again, it has to be a good balance. Yeah.
Exactly. So to go to the office, yes, for let's say meetings, for networking, for this kind of
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
but then go back. So I think it will never be as it was. But I think with that choice that we will have, it will create more flexibility.
Yeah.
Flexibility will again give you more freedom. And this freedom will also allow you to be more productive, more happier, and in the end create this kind of innovation that we are talking all the time. So how to create innovation, how to create new ideas.
And that's exactly it. All this digital, which sometimes we feel overwhelmed, somehow also should make our lives easier, allowing this home office, office mix, balance. We've always had that as well as at Nexel, but the freedom is there, and ultimately it doesn't matter if you're in the office or not. You also at Salesforce don't have fixed workspaces, desks, right?
But is there a danger of a two-class society? Those who have the freedom, the innovation, or the space to do all the home office, and then the people who are kind of shut out, because I see that with the guys on the shop floor.
But on
What
the
can
other
they
hand,
do?
you all at one point chose where you go and work, what sort of job you want to do.
Yeah.
And if you choose to be to work some handy stuff, then you're not at the desk, and I would say I wouldn't say so. Or you choose
is that a question of choice,
to be
or is that a question of circumstance? I think
no, it's a question of choice to be a.
I think a
if
good
you want to
topic
be
for
a
our next
doctor,
event.
and of course you cannot do the home office then.
Yeah, but it's like I think, but there should be a way of building in some flexibility for them as well. You know, nicer break rooms.
Yeah, okay,
a bit more
this
free time,
absolutely,
flexi time.
absolutely. I don't know how
has
your
to be a
break rooms
balance.
look.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is-
maybe.
I also want
There'll be
to
lots
touch.
of free offices.
I also want to touch on a subject that's close to your heart, Vanessa. That technology has really enabled and help enable this initiative that you started, Bring Women Back to Work, right? And it's an initiative that Nexel is also part of and supporting. It's a great initiative, and really it's because of the technology and giving opportunities, thanks to technology, to bring women back into the workforce. How do you see the impact of technology and bring women back to work?
Yeah, correct. So Bring Women Back to Work is a program that I created to bring more women back to the workforce and also bring more women into the IT, so into technology industry. Because in Switzerland we are between 11 and 50%, so it's very, very low.
Wow.
And I think that tech industry is one of the best place for everybody, but especially also for women with kids and with a different schedule than an 8 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And I created this because we see that we have less women and we need a lot of talents in the organization. And obviously technology make this bridge, right? So allows this flexibility, allows mothers to work as they can work, flexible. So and also this program makes also the possibility to enter in a new industry, because it's so difficult. If you are away for 2 or 3 years and you want to come back, it's difficult enough. But then comes and goes in a new industry, it's much more difficult. And this program makes really things happen.
Right.
So I can say that today 50% of the women in the program have already a job within our ecosystem, which is fantastic.
So the Salesforce ecosystem.
The Salesforce
which is the
ecosystem,
partners and everything
which is the
else, right?
partners and customers.
And they didn't come from technology
no,
background.
no,
Okay.
no.
Amazing.
So 85% is not coming from the tech industry, and this is really amazing. And the other amazing point is that 86% of these women are working part-time. Which is so nice, because in Switzerland this is really missing. All the great jobs you see around are all 100%. And especially women that decided to come back after a career break, whatever this is. It can be sickness, it can be child care, whatever. They don't want it to come for 100%. They wanted to go step by step.
Right.
And all these partners in this community, in this program, they allows them to have between 50 and 80% part-time jobs. And it's really nice to see that this idea is coming to life, and it's working, because these women, are amazing. So
Right.
heavy background, high skilled,
Yep.
but not from the tech industry. And by our longer break.
Yeah.
So
So
Yeah.
can I ask you a question then? Can men join this program? What about the men that are staying home to take care of their children? Maybe not in Switzerland. We're not there yet. Maybe that's a topic for
another session.
another session. Yeah. If we would be in Sweden, since we're having this event with the Swedish-Swiss Chamber of Commerce, maybe it would be a different discussion. 'Cause in Sweden, the men are also staying home.
exactly. So at Salesforce, we are giving actually 3 months
Absolutely.
of
Absolutely.
father's time.
Yeah.
So I
Leading,
think,
yes.
yeah, and I think this is really important here. Again, equality, right? So the same rights for mothers and for fathers, because at the time that the fathers stay at home, mothers can go for work, right? So this is really important.
Absolutely.
I am now focusing on one thing.
Yeah.
And trying to bring all these great women back to work who wants to come back to work, right?
Yeah.
And maybe in the future we will create then something new,
Yeah.
something to combine.
Sounds good. Our time is running. We need to slowly wrap things up, but I want to ask one more question. With everything we've seen with the digital journeys and the effect that Corona has had on our organizations and teams and so on, and all the actions you've taken in your organizations, do you feel that you would be ready for another situation like this as an organization? or what would you have done looking back, hindsight 2020, as they say?
Yeah.
What would you have done differently?
I think Marissa.
Marissa, maybe you want to start?
I think we're definitely ready. What would we do? I think we are still actually in this modus. We are still not back to the office. We have to be. We have quite strict regulations considering the hospital, and yes, we definitely are ready for this. What would we do different? I don't.
But you are an organization that was almost basically ready to deal with what was the cards that were dealt.
Absolutely,
with
I think. I mean, what really helped that we are a small organization, so we adapted very fast.
Yeah.
I don't think we would do anything different. What I really liked at the beginning, because I mean, the first lockdown, everyone was a bit under shock, I think. We had like everyday team calls to just stick together.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while. So maybe this, we wouldn't do that long anymore, because at one point you didn't know when is it finished, when shall we stop
Yeah.
being
Everybody
always,
was thinking,
yeah.
hoping that next month or 3 months. Right?
Exactly. So, but basically, no, not much, and
But
then we are ready.
Exactly.
But we don't hope that another pandemic is
No,
gonna.
absolutely not. But you weren't in a situation we've seen with some of our clients. They didn't have laptops. And they had fixed PCs at work, at the office, and it was a very difficult situation for some.
It was a huge effort for the whole university hospital, of course, as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have like 9,000 employees, and many of those are also working in the offices. And we didn't have this home office way of working. So they had to really, really run fast to make it possible, VPN for everyone. And it worked.
Yeah.
But because somehow we knew it's gonna come a lockdown. We had informations.
Of course, you're so
like
close to the hospitals.
We were prepared like 2 weeks before the lockdown came,
Yeah.
because we knew that's going to be a lockdown. We do need to go into a lockdown. So our IT was actually ready, but they had tremendous much to do.
And as you said, Bhavesh, on your side, your teams, you have a mix of production facilities, office worker, back office. Were people already doing home office before Corona hit?
No, not really.
That wasn't part of. No.
That wasn't part of it. I think it's shifted. It won't come back fully to the way it was. But I think, to the question is, are we ready for the next crisis? I mean, it's not a question of if. There's going to be another one. There will be another pandemic, and there might be material problems. There might be wars. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming our way in the next 30 years, and it's going to be quite a difficult time. And are we ready?
You can never be 100% ready, but
I think we'll find a way.
Yeah.
I think that's the lesson of the crisis, is that you find a way, but you find a way by working on the culture and on the people, and giving people.
That's an interesting point, though. I mean, apart from the Swiss perspective,
Yep.
What about your international teams and the other countries? You mentioned China.
Yeah, China
you're working
was-
with the US, of course.
And it was a great learning exercise from all of the various teams. You know, it's like the Chinese teams were way ahead of the curve. They were disinfecting, and they sent us protocols here in Switzerland before the crisis even hit here. And we were then ready. We actually had masks and thermometers shipped over from China. Okay. So it's like as soon as
you were faster than us.
yeah, we've got to give props to our Chinese team there. But I think the thing was, it was like they were free to act. People were free to act and make things happen. And I think that's kind of when it comes to what would we do different. Before we had command and control, and too late we've learned work on the culture, and that's where we need. That's where we're focused now, is working on the culture, and that will then allow us to be flexible.
And that must be the same with Salesforce, Vanessa. I mean, of course, everybody was working remotely and had the flexibility and so on, but still Corona, I mean, Salesforce is a global organization. I don't even know how many employees you have today. It's immense. The growth is incredible. But of course, Corona also impacted, obviously, Salesforce as an organization and the people. Do you see any way that maybe Salesforce would have, should have, could have handled things differently? Or I mean, of course, Salesforce is ready technology-wise for such things in home office and remote office, but obviously your people were affected as well, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody was affected, and I think that, you know, everybody learned from it. Okay, yeah. And I think we have now this kind of new superpower for the next challenge that will come for sure. Yeah, I think that we learned that our community, our customers, partners, and families are priority. So family, community, it's not just the customer, it's not just the business, it is the people around us. I think this is different, this is much more conscious, and the well-being of the people. I think this is also something that companies have to take care.
Absolutely. Because
also
the psychological well-being.
The psychological, yes, the well-being of the health, the mental health, and the physical health. But I think the mental health, it's much more important to go through such kind of crisis like we were facing. And I think this is the learning, right?
We have this incredible situation with Salesforce on a yearly basis. You're always recruiting. There's always new staff, and there are also for us as a partner getting to meet everybody. The face-to-face meeting was always important. Having a lunch, whatever, and there are so many new people at Salesforce only in Switzerland. You've never met your colleagues face to face. It's all remote via screen, and they've never spent a day in the office. Usually they go for their boot camp to somewhere to San Francisco or to Spain or wherever, right?
Imagine. So you have to imagine that we have a lot of people, new people join every month that we never saw it in person. So even I hired a lady that will start 1st of July, and I never saw her in person.
So even the interview process was remote.
The entire interview process was remotely.
Amazing.
So this is really different.
Okay, well, our hour is incredibly gone. It went really fast. I think we were all a little bit nervous in the beginning that time would drag on. We wouldn't have anything to talk about. That's absolutely not the case. So I think we need to now turn it back to you, those of you who have been participating. I hope you found the whole discussion interesting. I think we could talk for a few more hours, but we would like to start taking some of your questions that you've posted then on the chat, and we'd like to then invite then Eva to come join us at the table over here. Please be careful, the social distancing, even though vaccines are done and so on for most. Let's be careful. But Eva, you've been, and of course we've been working together with the Swedish Chamber for many years as well, and you're also a Salesforce customer, and you've been monitoring the chats and the YouTube channel during the discussions. Are there any specific topics that have popped out to our panelists?
Yeah, I need to put my glasses on here. Sorry.
Low tech solution.
Yeah, there were some encouraging comments on the chat, which is very nice. So cool lineup. So that was really nice to see. So people are listening, and there are quite a few questions.
Fantastic.
So Michelle Keener, she said, love hearing empathy and being talked about during a discussion which is ostensibly about tech. And we have a question here from Francesco Scariolo. How much is change management important when digitalizing your processes?
Well, I think probably, Bhavesh, I mean, you've gone through probably a bigger change in your company because there wasn't even the home office concept, as you said.
Yeah.
It's ultimately, we often tell our customers, a Salesforce project is not necessarily an IT project, it's a change management project. Yeah. I mean, how have you dealt with that?
Change management, it's a question of what is, again, bringing benefit as you change your process. There are certain things that are compliance-wise that you need to hold, you need to sort of keep track of. But it's surprisingly smaller than you think. And I think from our experience, a lot more has been on the doing, but the understanding that the people doing cannot just do whatever the hell they want. They have to understand that when I make this change, it impacts you, it impacts you, it impacts you. So let's get together and talk about what that's going to be. And that communication element of the change management is really key.
I mean, it's what you said before. I mean, I think we can say humans are resistant to change or resist change.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have to see the benefit. They have to see the benefit of technologies or whatever else, right?
Right.
And then they buy in.
Yeah, so it's like small changes, I think people should be free to be able to do those. But the bigger the change, the more influence it has, the more that they have to get other people into the discussion, and then take that advice, but then bring it forward.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
I guess.
Great.
I hope that answers the question.
Do you want to say, Marissa, anything about change management?
No,
I think you guys are almost ready for and the technology adoption as a young organization.
Absolutely.
I think you had an easier time than Bhavesh had at Brooklyn.
Exactly. I'm glad I wasn't with the big organization.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
Yeah, we have another question here from Christian Deloise. What are your thoughts about the best usage of technology to enable hybrid work meetings now that will be part of the new normal?
I completely agree that I also think it'll be part of the new normal. I can't see us or the world going back to flying everywhere for meetings, even though when everybody's vaccinated and everything is clear. All the restaurants are open again and we can go on holidays. I can't see people going constantly traveling around the world for a 2-hour meeting as many of us have done in the past. I think we're going to somehow remain.
Maybe I think you've probably, for the collaborative tools, Salesforce is a much bigger organization, so I think you can answer that much better.
And I think there's lots of new things coming with Salesforce recently purchasing Slack as well. We're really looking forward to that, so I think there's good things to come.
Yeah, so I think this is crucial to choose the right tool to be and maintain the collaboration between the teams. It depends. Well, it depends obviously what is the need of the company, but I think this will be crucial to collaborate together, to communicate, to create this trust that I was talking before, and so forth. And especially because I also believe that we will not be able to, or we will not do that anymore.
And people won't want to, I think. And the time and cost savings alone would.
And carbohydrates.
Yeah, of course.
I used to work for Greenpeace, and that's many years ago, and we were already ready. We didn't fly around, of course. You want to save the planet, and we were always on those meetings. That's not new thing. That was 10 years ago.
That
so
topic
it's possible.
is
it just needed a pandemic, I guess.
Maybe that it's the catalyst that will save our planet. We'll see, right? Until we can go to Mars, of course. But
But those are the positive effects of the pandemic, of course. I think there are quite a few of these positive effects. I think the new normal will be a good one. So let me see here what we have else here. People are very happy, great LiveCast, important topics, great conversation, very relevant topic. Let me see here if I can find any more questions. The pandemic has also provided us with the tools to actually realize continuous learning and spend some more time online to retrain and reskill. These are the comments. Because of COVID, has digital transformation adoption accelerated workers' acceptance of new processes within an organization? This is a question from David Georgi.
think
Absolutely.
undoubtedly yes. Undoubtedly yes.
absolutely.
It's
If I look at just what's happening with remote schooling and so on, and these tools that kids are using, and because they can't go to school, and it's amazing what technology has enabled. Right?
Yeah, but I think also the behavior changes. I mean, now that you can buy online and take it and pick it up in the store, I mean, this is different than before.
Yeah.
And before you went in the store, you choose, you try. Now it's people going around with the camera and wearing for you, and you say yes or no. I mean, this is completely different.
And then you order it and just ship it back if it doesn't fit. And
Technology is changing behavior, is changing the way that we buy, the way that we do things, the way that we decide, do our decisions.
sorry, Marissa.
And accelerating also innovation.
Yeah,
I
of
think.
course, always. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was a really it fired a thought for me, which was like, in terms of does it accelerate the process of acceptance of change? That presupposes that the change is given down. But some of the most interesting stuff that we're seeing in the business, like we're working with Power BI and business intelligence, when you give people the tools to enact change themselves, is really powerful. And that's where you get huge benefits. And that's kind of a lot of our thinking in the company is, how do we provide tools that workers themselves can enact change, not simply accept it. So,
This is also that basically works the platform of Salesforce, right? It's based on feedback of customers, and this is extremely powerful. Feedback is a gift, right? And the more you know what is working and what is not working, and we are adapting, so the more powerful is this tool then at the end for you and for you and for you. So this is really cool to see.
I think the technology really enabled many companies to have such great success for online shopping and so on and so forth, but the negative side effect we know from our retail clients, many of the retail which are living of face-to-face shopping, coming into sort of small mom and pop organizations, they're also suffering, and many are going out of business as well. So and this adoption of technology, it's as we said, almost a necessary evil. Sometimes it's a question of survival as well, for organizations, for companies.
Absolutely.
Great, there is some more comments here. One from Patrick. Volkswagen has banned emails after the 1800s as a measure to secure work-life balance for the workforce. Is this really a role model, or is it work-life balance up to every individual employee?
You know, that's
a very good question. Very good question.
When I go on holiday, I take email off my phone. When I come back, I've got 200 emails. I select them all and delete them.
All right.
And
if it's an emergency, they'll call you.
If it's important, they'll get back to me. They'll pick up the phone. And
I do that as well.
Hopefully none of your customers are watching.
But I think it's also it depends also on your boss. Of course,
but
how you can manage this.
Yeah, but
So
I think this is really
not
an
only
important aspect, right? I think that organizations should take care of their people, because the
Absolutely.
people is a great platform for change, as we said earlier. And you have different things that you can do to make your people happy, or feel safe, or feel comfortable, or feel empowered, or feel trusted, or feel cared. I don't know, you know. But this is really important. Don't leave every responsibility of to the people.
Yeah.
I think that everybody should care, and as I said, with different things, you can step out, you can have this flexibility, but the company have to give you the empowerment to do that. That to give you. It allows you to be flexible. So this is not.
It comes from the top.
This comes from the top.
So
I think the one is I give you the right to do it, but the other thing is I use it, right? It's.
Is there a question of judgment as well? Because, you know, for example, if somebody chooses to do something, then they cannot have an expectation that everyone else must do that as well. Because if the freedom is a two-sided coin, right? It's like you chose to work on in the evening or on your holiday, and if I choose not to, there has to be respect on both sides.
Yeah.
Of course.
I see the situation a little bit differently from our perspective, from an Excel perspective. You know, we obviously have no rules or guidelines to say you have to check your emails 24/7 and so on. Obviously not, right? People manage their own lives, and we're absolutely careful about, you know, their personal health and psychological health and everything else. All the tools are available for that. The problem I have is telling our people to shut off.
Yeah.
You know, I have people, which is of course is great, but it's absolutely not expected. You know, all hours of the night, evenings, weekends, and I have to tell them, don't you have families? Are you still married? What about your kids? Has your wife left you? Why are you sending me mails? I mean, if I do that, that's my choice, right? I mean, I'm running Nextel. If I decide to do that, sometimes I need to do that, and sometimes we all need to do that, right? But I think it becomes a problem, and I think if an organization like Volkswagen says after 1800 no more emails, okay, but will people follow it? Probably not. Probably they'll stick with their own old habits, I guess. I don't know.
But I think it's nice for the company to give that framework and
Absolutely.
actually
Yeah, sure.
allow,
Yeah.
because otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, you would not, you know, you would continue working, and this is all about, you know, how much digital is needed. We have to find that right balance.
Yeah, and you have to be also coherent. So if you say, okay, you have a one well-being day, then you as a company have to be sure that they are then not taking this well-being day and all the emails coming then in the weekends. So because then what kind of well-being day is that?
But the problem is that they're still going to do it, because otherwise the emails are going to pile up, and when they come to the office or go to work on Monday morning, then they have 200 emails.
Yeah, but this is
That's the culture. That's the culture. Why do you need to send an email all the time?
Yeah. Take the telephone,
Pick
old
up the
fashioned.
phone.
Pick
So
up
your
the
advice
phone,
is when you come back to work after your
old-fashioned.
holidays, delete all your emails, and if it's important, it'll come back.
I do that as well.
But you
That's a good
you communicate up front. I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
Because physical and emotional health are not separate things.
Yeah.
These things are really enmeshed together. And you can keep answering emails all the hours of the day, but then that person is going to have sick days. And they're going to get psychologically tired.
Sure, of course.
And they're not going to be innovative or efficient.
And ultimately, the machine has to keep running even when you're on holidays.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
I think this is really important to have a deputy, and so
Absolutely.
joke aside, deleting emails or not. I mean,
That's humility. I
but
guess it
I
comes into
think
humility,
this is normal to have somebody that takes over when you are off, and you have the freedom to enjoy your holiday, and you have also to be so consistent and say, okay, I am shutting everything down. I am not looking at emails. I mean, this is
People have to respect that, and your boss has to respect that.
Yeah, of
Absolutely.
course.
I think it's ego as well. A little bit plays into it. I'm so important that I have to be
it's
around.
ego. Yeah, it is.
We see that as well. So.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do we have, Eva?
Yes, we have some comments. So as this is an interactive session, I thought I will read them up.
Fantastic.
So Christian Deloise, you say, thanks for a great discussion on this highly relevant topic. It's all about walking the talk, and the top leaders need to start, and then the rest will follow. You agree on that? Michelle Keener, as a working mom, the 1800W Volkswagen deadline would make me feel stressed about getting everything done before then, but the idea is empowering, just maybe a little inflexible. But yeah, these are the comments from the audience. I think it's of course, I think it's good if the company sets the framework, and then, you know, so the employees know that they actually can switch off if they
Then it's
have
their
to,
decision.
you know, so they don't all have to work long hours. It's all about the balance. So I have another couple of questions here. So what are the components, do you think, of a digital strategy that a digital strategy needs to contain? What components?
So to maximize the technologies, and
for-
where do we start? So as I said,
where do we start?
when
Where, you know,
that statistic I read before, 71% of Swiss companies know they need to do something but don't know where to start, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Marissa, you said you stepped in already to an organization which had Salesforce in place. So that's a different situation than maybe you, Bhavesh, where you were one of the triggers, the initiators of bringing Salesforce into the organization, right? So, and your organization is 125 years old, a group company, right? So there's a lot of legacy, and sometimes the change management is a challenge. Changing old habits, old dog, new trick, as they say.
Well,
Right?
when I came from China, because I worked in China for 10 years, and then I came to Switzerland, and I thought in Switzerland it's all going to be great. It was more backwards in some ways than it was in China. But yeah, it's, I guess, what are the main components of a digital strategy? I would say, where is your pain point? And and is digitalization going to help you fix that pain point? Start small on something that irritates you every single day, and then sense what the organization wants to do. Because you can't plan it out for 15 years. You can have a vision, but then you have to like be working on probably a shorter time frame than most people realize, and sense, adapt.
Yeah.
That's
because
and
it's
that's
changing
exactly
so fast.
actually thinking back how our discussion started, right? Because when we met the first time, well, not the first time, we talked about many different ideas of where the organization wants to go or needs to go,
Yep.
and some phenomenal ideas, like also on the elevator rope putting some sensors, IoT, and all of so all these things that maybe your competitors are not doing, and all these ideas, but it's not necessarily the burning issue. You have more pressing issues that you need to solve. This is coming, technology will enable things, but there are other more pressing issues, fires burning that need to be addressed, that will make the organization run smoother, right?
well, maybe for Marissa, is it like, I mean, my experience has been it's like Lego blocks. You can't build an amazing thing from Lego if you don't even have the blocks, and you have to build the
Exactly.
blocks first before you can build something up.
You need the foundation.
You need the foundation. Here we go.
I think
The foundation.
I think that's very simple is also to ask the why. So why I want to digitalize? What is the purpose? And to come to, at the end, to begin to do something. So you ask yourself why. And then 3 components of digitalization can be the business plan, so where you put the why. So why we need to do that? Is it because of the customer? Is it because of the products? What is it? And then you have the process, and then you have people. So these are the 3 main components, in my view, to look at for a digitalization. But essential is the why. Why should we do that?
I find that very interesting, because when we talk to our clients, there's always a discussion about, yes, why are we needing to do it? Is it just a buzzword? Everybody else is doing it, we have to do it too. And of course, what does it cost? Digitalization is not cheap, obviously. And what does it bring us? Is it worth the cost? What do you say to an organization who are evaluating tools, Salesforce included, of course, and they're saying, well, we've done everything on Microsoft Office and Excel list. Actually, it's not worth the investment. We can stay with that for another 5 years. I don't know. It's is there lack of vision?
I think
Is it a necessary evil? They need to do it because everybody's doing it and the whole world is digital, and
but it's
and
not
so
an
on?
evil.
Or-
It's a help.
No,
It makes
a help,
life.
of
It
course,
makes
yeah.
life so much easier
Yeah,
if you have these digital tools. It saves you so much time. It saves you or helps you to be focused on your real job, basically, on what you have to do. And this is just sidetrack and helps you to organize.
Yeah.
And I think that question comes up even more as you get rid of the drudgery in the day-to-day life. Employees, colleagues, people start questioning, what is my job? Before it was filling 80% of my time was filling out Excel spreadsheets. What is my
and
job
sometimes
today?
people fear
So-
their jobs because of digitalization,
Yeah.
which should not be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was many years ago already. When we started working, I think, then everyone thought, okay, there's so
It
many
still happens
jobs
today,
get lost.
But I think it's
And
transitioned
then
to
new
white collar.
jobs
Yeah, but I think it's also
developed and
very relevant to understand if the customer is ready to digitalize. Because if such kind of questions comes up, then you have to ask question back to eventually say, okay, I think we have to postpone this.
Yeah.
Okay, not everybody is ready by then because the neighbor is. So they have to understand what this means. What this means
I
for
completely
their
agree.
for
I
the
completely-
process,
yeah.
for the
Yeah.
people, for the time.
And I often see in our discussions a misconception with our clients that this type of project, digitization and so on, is a big bang approach. They have to do everything at once, which is absolutely not the case.
No.
They need to prioritize and take small steps.
Yep.
Small steps, some of the things are burning issues and bring quick benefits. Other things can be more long term and maybe are nice to have and maybe become bigger issues down the line.
Yeah.
But they don't have to do everything in one big step. Take smaller steps that are also financially feasible for them, but that improves their life and their business, right?
Yeah. I mean, that whole question of like a push against change, and I think that gets in the way. The why is really interesting there because there's a lot of bullshit jobs out there. You know, it's like people who deal with data and things, and they think they're doing good work. But it's like the guy on the machine knows I produce that, and I have skills that make me produce that. There's a whole layer of middle management and so on in companies that just digitalization is a threat to them. But then you have to ask yourself: are you ready to change? Are you ready to adapt? What is your job?
Yeah. And we need those guys on the floor, because how many floors are there in the Salesforce building in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know? Trick question. We didn't plan this question.
Anyways, 80, I think.
I was thinking something like that too. Definitely bigger than all buildings we have in Switzerland.
Yep.
But because of you guys, we don't have to walk up 80 floors.
That's right. Yeah,
Would be better for our health, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
what else do we have, Eva?
We have a couple of more questions and a couple of 6 minutes left here, I think. So,
Okay.
from Eric, what is the culture needed for digital transformation within an organization? We touched a little bit on
Yeah.
this.
For me, I think that's an easy one.
Yeah.
You need to have an open mind.
Mhm.
You need to have an open mind and be willing to
change.
learn, to change. Yes, exactly. And many of us are fixed in their ways. We've always done it like this. Why do we have to change it? Type of attitude, right? I mean, the only thing constant is change. Everything is changing all the time, right? So I think you have to be flexible.
Yes, and I think change is actually in our DNA. Even everybody say that change is something that nobody wants to do it, but change is in our DNA. We change all the time. We change since we grow up. We cha-
Okay.
No, I think we have a couple of conversations here between delegates as well.
Okay.
which is
Amazing.
interesting.
Fantastic. Good.
So Christian responding to Eric, a digital transformation requires culture change towards business agility, removing the silos, let go of command and control, enable transversal value stream work. It involves everyone.
Yeah, we could have another session only on the cultural aspects of all these
Absolutely.
things. Absolutely. That's
Absolutely.
absolutely true. But okay, so I think with that we can wrap it up.
I think we
slowly.
can.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
we can wrap it up. First of all, I would like to thank all of you, the speakers, for being here. It's been very valuable, and I can see that also from the live chat. The comments were very positive. They thought this was a very relaxed and open discussion, a very relevant topic. So thank you very much for taking part. Thank you very much, John and Nexel, for partnering up with us to organize this. It's a great partnership that we have. So really, thank you very much for putting this all together with us. And last but not least, thank you to the audience for listening to us, and thank you for being interactive and asking all these questions. And we hope to see you very soon. And should you have any questions, please send an email to us. We're happy to communicate contact details to the speakers here, to John, to Nexel, should you have any questions more into the topic. So,
and of course, we want to invite the public to join the Swedish Swiss Chamber events
Of
when they
course.
become live
Of
again,
course.
right? As
and we
well.
have many events, loads of events coming up, even before the summer. So log on to
Absolutely.
www.swesham.ch and I can wish you all a very nice evening. And
thank you too, as well, to you, Eva, and the Swedish Chamber for supporting this event, and of course to our fantastic speakers supporting us, giving us the different perspectives. Keep in mind also that the event is recorded, right?
Yes.
It will be online and available probably as of tomorrow, I guess, and I'm sure you'll get a few mailings out of Salesforce to with the necessary links. And please don't forget, last but not least, to visit the Unispital Foundation website, the donation page, and anything you can support with and to help fund the research that they do, and not only Corona, but many other things. Have a look at their website. The work they do is phenomenal. Happy to work with them, and thank you, Marissa, also for joining us today.
Thank
Yeah, we see you all next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
It's off.
So.